Well, I think we have a lot of people that has joined us. Thank you so much for being here. I think we can start. Welcome, Gapsters. Thank you very much again for joining us in this QACON talk. My name is Mariana. I'm going to be your host today. About our speaker, for those who don't know her, her name is Edlly Gómez. She's a QA engineer that has more than 10 years of experience. She's currently working with technologies as Cypress and Appium. For those who are interested in that, for those as well that want to know about her hobbies, she really likes Legos, especially the ones that are flower theme, and also she really enjoys watching K-dramas and review them with her friends. I can personally say that this is a topic she is really passionate about. But in this occasion, we are not here to talk about those hobbies, but instead, Edlly is going to present the topic, the road to QA architect. Let's talk about responsibilities. So before starting, if you have any questions or comments during the session, feel free to post them on the comment section. And at the end of the session, we are going to have a Q&A section. So it would be awesome if you can as well turn on your camera and raise your virtual hand. But if you feel like a little bit shy or you haven't taken a shower, so I will sacrifice myself and help you making the questions and read them. But please post them on the comment section. So I think we can start, Edley. The stage is yours. Feel free to start whenever you're ready.
Thank you for the kind introduction, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Let's talk about the architect role and their responsibilities according to that. So let's start defining what's an architect. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, an architect is the person that designs new buildings and is responsible for how they are built. And it's important to notice that an architect has a lot of input of how something will be built. In this case, we're talking about a building, but in general, of how something will be built is not necessarily in charge of building it. So with that in mind, let's start. So the agenda today, I'm gonna share a little bit about the considerations that we should have if we want to go towards the route of an architect role, their responsibilities according to the role and experience, some recommendations, and at the end we're gonna have a Q&A. So let's start with the first part. So the considerations for the role. So the first part is the business. So we're gonna talk about three different parts: business, leadership, and tech knowledge. So the business, it's in our case, it could be the project, a possible client, or something like that, right? So we have to understand what we're talking about. Are we talking about something from an e-commerce related to the medicine industry? Is it finance? So we really need to understand that. Once we have a better idea and we can, grasp what we need to work with, we have to consider budget. So do we have budget for tools? Do we have budget for different resources? What's there, right? If I'm gonna propose something and the client or whatever project doesn't have the budget, and I go with tools that are expensive, then probably that proposal is not gonna be successful. So, or it's not gonna be accepted. So we have to consider that part. And in our case, since we're QAs, right, we help with testing the development part and things like that. But we have to understand what is the architecture for development. So with that in mind, maybe we can reuse some of the tools, and we need to understand if there is already, for example, a CI structuring process, or is already established. Can we introduce QA into that? What's there, right? And what are the things that we can reuse, or what are the considerations that we should take from that? And also something really important for an architect, and I'm sorry, I'm a little bit sick, so you might hear me coughing from time to time. But something that is really important for an architect is to understand that at the end of the day, whatever solution that is proposed and accepted, you are accountable for. You are the owner of that initiative. So if it is a success or if it's not, it's something that you will be responsible for. And you will need to address whatever issue that comes in or present, results. So that is really important. Then we have the business part. So we understand the business. And now, like I said, you will be in charge of initiatives. So a lot of that is related to leadership. And what parts of leadership should we take into consideration? Because leadership is a huge, huge thing. So there are a few things that are really important with for whatever initiative we do or for this role in particular. So we're going to be communicating a lot with clients, with our teammates, and with different people around a project or an organization. And we need to be good at communicating ideas. We have to learn to negotiate. We have to evaluate possible options or multiple ones. So we really need to communicate. It's something that um, is a must. Like there is no way to avoid that. So leading initiatives is also part of that. Like I need to lead the initiatives and the team participating in those activities. Like I said at the beginning when we were checking the definition of an architect is not necessarily someone that is going to be coding in our case, or is going to be building the whole process, but is someone that is going to be accountable for. So leading the initiative, making sure that it's going through the right path is really important. And with that comes the planning and the prioritization. So the business will have goals, and we have to prioritize whatever initiative we have according to that. And we have to plan it, and we need to prioritize that according to the business goals and the workload that our team has, because it doesn't mean that our team is going to work on just one thing. It can be multiple initiatives that are happening at the same time. So it's really important that we prioritize that part. And with that, obviously, in order to understand prioritization and to plan accordingly, time management is important. So up to that point, if we really need to understand the concept of how we need to manage our time, so that the workload doesn't become such a huge thing that nothing can be done, right? The team gets burned out and things like that. And when we talk about working on initiatives and proposing things and having this role, not everything that we propose is something that everyone in the team is going to be aware of or will have knowledge of. So we need to guide and support other team members and even ourselves to learn new tools or learn new processes. So we need to be aware that not everything is something that the team already has knowledge for it. So that is one of the things that will become extremely important. And this is something that it will link to the last part, the technical part, but identifying areas that need improvement and the areas that are like a learning opportunity are key in this case, because not everything that is created from the start is written on stone. It can evolve, and it's important that the architect can identify what things need to change and when things need improvement. So with that, let's go to the last part, the technical knowledge. In our case, and I'm going to be focusing on QA in general, there are many different types of testing. And it's important that even if the architect is not an expert in all of them, has an idea of what they entail, so that he or she can propose different testing types. So if there are things that related to finance, most likely security is a thing. So it's important that the architect understand that there is like a huge opportunity there in terms of security testing, and the initiative involves that. Um, and with that comes different tools, right? We need to, what other tools are there? What is trendy? What has good documentation? What has good support? What is there for us to work with? And what are the good practices, not just for automated testing, but for manual testing? Because not everything is not always going to be just coding, but it also involves a manual process for the testers, and or for different QAs that are going to do more manual work. What are the good practices, and how can they be applied to the project or the team? And now we're also in an era that everything it's in cloud platforms. So what are the cloud platforms? uh, can we use something that is maybe already used in development? If not, what's there? What are the things that will help us the best? And what are the considerations for that? And that is also really important to tell you an example of this. um, in my current team, any tool that we use has to have like an enterprise plan, because with that comes a lot of offers, like for security and different things. So every tool that we use has to have an enterprise plan. So that is something that we have to take into consideration for any initiative. So even for the cloud platforms, even if they're a little bit if the plans are a little bit more expensive, that is something that we have to take into consideration. And that it's really important, because at the end we need to propose modern solutions and specifications for things, so it has to be up to date. I'm not gonna go and propose something like it's super old and doesn't have like good support or good documentation, because the architect has to establish and enforce good practices and standards, and is the ultimate responsible for the decision. So in summary of these whole three things, if I could summarize everything, it would be that the architect is accountable, responsible, and a sponsor. It's a position that might not be the most comfortable with. Um, you have to be ready to be uncomfortable with making decisions, with negotiating, with communicating. So that is like a huge summary of this, that it's a role that requires for you to put yourself into situations that might be a little bit uncomfortable if we are not used to it. So with that, let's talk about responsibilities, right? Um, there are many things involved in this. So I'm gonna talk about the ones that I see as that are more frequent in different projects, and that I also had the opportunity to experience at some point. So creating a framework from scratch, this is ideal. If you, let's say, this is just in the technical part. Let's say that there is no QA or no QA automation, and they want to start with automation, and it's a great opportunity. It allows you to create something with good practices from scratch, but it's not that common. It's not that common that we find a project that has nothing set up already and that it actually needs fixing. So it's not that common, but it's a great opportunity. And also, let's say that there's no QA at all, not manual QA, no automation. So it might be that we need to create a process for both manual and QA. Establishing QA in a project is always a huge opportunity. Um, Creating like a framework And by a framework, I just don't mean automation, but like a QA framework, where we decide what tools are we gonna use for keeping our manual tests. Are we gonna do API? Are we gonna do mobile if it's needed? What are the things that are required? Is a huge opportunity uh, that comes with a lot of risks, of course, and a lot of making calls and decisions, but it's a huge opportunity. Then refactoring and improvements. This is the one that I feel that, from my experience, trying to grow into this role, it is the one that I face the most. And for me, even before trying to create a framework from zero, this is the first thing that we should do. Like refactor something, a current framework or suites or a process. Um, this trains your mindset to look for things that are not working and need to be optimized. This is more common in any project and allows you to gather critical thinking and around any solution. And even before, like I said, even before creating a framework from zero, this should be something that we should try first, because it will give you more information, more tools to handle a project that needs to start from scratch. So this is one of the things that I think I've done the most, and actually is one of the things that I come to realize that I enjoy a lot. Finding things that need to be improved or modified, and propose and lead those initiatives, which is the following one. And it's something that gives you a lot of opportunity to um, try new things and check, okay, this is not working, why is it not working, how can we do to improve it. It gives you like a lot of expertise in doing different things. Another of the responsibilities that I actually mentioned in our previous slide is, helping QAs grow their knowledge, provide material to learn new things, even, sessions where we gather to learn something. That is like really important. Take their, even if you're the one making the decisions, as an architect in your project, or having a role of the architect in your project, always make sure that everyone is aware, everyone understands what something will entail. If they don't, like, make sure that they gather all the knowledge that they need to actually understand whatever needs to be done. And last but not least, on this part, keep up to date with all the trends and research skills, soft skills for the leadership part, to deal not just with your current client, but any prospect clients and teams. Um, you know that at Gap, we have the opportunity to work with a lot of different clients with tons of different tools, and they work on e-commerce or finance and different, marketing things. But um, there's also always the opportunity to provide help to a prospect client that maybe is not related to a project. So there are a lot of opportunities and a lot of advantages there, so that, I'm sorry, that you can work with and, research and, try to grow the different skills. So it's it's a great opportunity to do that. I've done it a couple of times, helping them try to understand what it will mean to establish QA and automation. And I have to say that um, I don't think that if I haven't keep up to date with, I don't have to go to all the webinars and everything, but keep up to date with different things have helped me trying to help other clients and prospect clients. So this is the part I share with all of you a little bit of what I've done. Um, I'm in the process of still learning about this role and growing into this role. Uh, One of the first things that I've done is look for opportunities uh, within different projects, and so that I can understand more about what this role entails and the things that I can do, and that I'm good at. So I have to face different situations that today I would like to share with you. So maybe if you ever have to face something similar, this can help you. The first one, and I think I put it first because it's the most difficult one for me, at least, is the fear of failure. Um, and a role, the architect role is, like I said, it's not the most comfortable role out there because you have to put yourself in a very vulnerable position when you are proposing ideas and you are trying to lead initiatives. And this is my biggest flaw, I will say. Um, it has taken me many years, many failures to learn that it's not the end of the world when I fail. When something fails, there is always an alternative. There is always that can be something that can be improved. And to share with you um, something that happened in my current project, a lot of these experiences are going to be from this current project, um, was that we needed to update dependencies. We manage API, a framework for API, a framework for UI testing, a framework for mobile, and all of those frameworks are using different like services that we also manage and we created. I'm so sorry. Let me drink some water. And one of those things that happened, and it was pretty recent actually, was that I was in charge of um, setting up the process to update the dependencies. Like we did not have that, and I will share why we did not. What happened when we didn't have that soon? But when that process was established, it was about creating different tickets to update dependencies per quarter. So it came the quarter, and actually, it was the first time that one of the repositories was going to be updated in terms of many things that were out of date. Um, and I was checking that, and we did a lot of testing locally before we sent that to code review, and it was merged and all that, and it was published because it works like a real dependency from the team. So we import that as a library, and everything was great. But when the dependency was published, uh, it didn't work on GitLab. It had a lot of issues on GitLab that did not have locally, and it was just not a matter of reverting that because we needed to publish again, but it was also the fact that we were on a release. So basically, all the tests were failing. I broke everything by updating that. So what things that we learned from it is that we need to publish first a beta version of the whole thing. We didn't know we could do that. Now we know, but we have to revert everything. We have to go through a process of investigating a lot of things to see if we can actually upgrade some of the dependencies there. So that was one of the, at the beginning I was like, I was, well, I need to look for a new project and go live in an island. But thankfully, like it was more of a matter of coming up with ideas, providing options instead of just okay, yeah, let's revert it and not do anything. Like no, it was more about what we could do. Then it's okay to get not as an answer. I'm not saying that it's nice, but it's okay. Like not every idea will be accepted, and just because we get a no, it doesn't mean that the idea was not good enough. Or it might be just that the opportunity is not, like we cannot make it right now, or we have to think like from different perspectives, and or we get feedback and we have to redo our idea. But not everything it's a go. And I have experienced many no's, which is fine. I think that this part made me think of more than one solution when I try to present something. Uh, Consider like what what are the different things that have to come into perspective for initiative to be presented to someone. So yeah, it's fine. Like you can try it again, go revisit, or maybe wait for the right time to actually try it again. It doesn't have to be immediately. So it's okay to get a no. And this is this one is really important. Always provide one or more solutions to a problem. Hopefully more than one. Um, Try to search for different tools and present the cons and pros of the solution to share with you once something that I have to do. So my team, like I said, is doing a lot of testing for API and for mobile and UI. When we were discussing about API, um, I was asked about different tools, but different tools like meant at that time that we needed another framework to manage differently than the other ones that we already had. Like I said, my team, every single tool that we use, if there is an enterprise plan, we have to go towards that. So it meant money, which was not in the budget. So we had to figure out what to do. And I presented several ideas. There were different tools. And one of the ideas was maybe not the best tool for API testing, but it was a tool that we already had in our project. And they liked that idea because it meant that we could start with API testing right away. Everyone was already familiar with the setup. Everyone was already familiar with the tool. It's not exactly a tool designed for that, but it had everything that we needed and everything that we still need at this point. So it was the idea that went along. But I presented several more because it, like I said, the tool is not particularly designed for that. It works for it, but it's not exactly just for that, for API testing. And it was a go, and it works, and everyone is using it, and we have found several bugs. So it was a good idea to actually just include it in a bunch of possible things that we could try. Um, this is another one, and I had to deal with this so many times because I feel that I have to know everything, which is not true. In actually, I'm not the best for mobile testing. Like there are many things I'm not familiar with, but in my team there are people that have more knowledge about mobile testing, and I rely on them. And I think that that is really important. You don't have to know everything. You have to understand the basics. Yes, of course. If you want to go through towards an architect role, you have to understand, and you have to have an idea of if this tool is a good thing for the project or not. But you don't have to know exactly every single detail. And this is something that at the beginning it gave me it made me feel like weird, and I had a lot of shame of not knowing something. But now it's like, okay, I don't know it, I can learn it. But if there's someone that actually knows the answer, uh, take that into consideration. And also, if the if they know more, obviously you have to add them to the conversation and get their input, because it's going to be extremely valuable. So just because you're an architect doesn't mean that you have to know every single thing out there. Communicate with your client. Like I said, this is this is the key, because it will open doors for anything that you want to try. So is your client uh, cares about money, or cares about time, the time that you're going to spend uh, on this initiative? What language are they speaking? And that will help you share your initiative in the same language. If they care about time and you talk a lot about money, they'll be like, cool, but how much time will it take to complete this? And if you don't have that information, then you're going to get a no, which is fine. Again, you go and revisit and then present it again. But be, um, be sure of what they care about. Not everyone cares about the same thing, and we have to understand that. And over the years, I think that I've tried really hard to cultivate good relationships with the people I work with, and also with clients, with the people that actually will be in charge of saying yes or no to anything I present. And that has opened doors for me, not just windows, doors. And you don't have to be their best friend. You don't even have to be friends, but you have to, be able to communicate appropriately with them. And last but not least, getting familiar with trends and tools. Like I said, I don't know a lot, for example, about mobile or performance, but I try to read a little bit here and there when I have the opportunity to learn something. What is the tools that are trendy, or what is trendy right now in terms of not just tools but QA in general. At some point, for example, everyone talk about the pyramid that you have unit testing, integration, and system testing. But now it's not a pyramid, it's a trophy. So like, update the knowledge. It's the same as when you learn something and it's not used anymore, or will you have to always be updating and upgrading the knowledge that you have with the latest, so that you can actually uh, provide good solutions and talk with ownership of a topic. So that is really important. And let's do uh, recommendations. So this is one of the last parts before we go to a Q&A. Um, this is things that I've done and I've tried and I think have been valuable in my path. Um, and I want to share that with you today. Take certifications related to your area of work. This is something that is really valuable. So there are a lot of certifications out there. Um, for example, for QA, it's very common to have ISTQB, and they have a bunch of options. But be sure to investigate and whatever you're gonna learn, you can apply it. Hopefully right away, but or at least in your path to be able to apply it. Um, for example, if I'm not mistaken, and if they still have it, ICQB has a certification for those that work in gambling devices, or with cars systems. If you're not working with that, it sounds cool, but maybe it's not the one that will help you the most. So make sure that the time you're investing, because it's an investment of your time, if you're investing your time into certification, make sure that it's valuable. That is something that will help you grow and that will open opportunities in whatever you're doing right now. Follow people that are relevant to your area of work. So, for example, for QA, there are many um, right now speakers and people that are making a lot of advances in the field and that are coming out with trends and things that are important. And one of it, there is like, for example, Lisa Crispin, Angie Jones, and people like that. Follow them, hear what they're saying, because they are the ones that are moving the market in regards of QA. So learn more. Like, for example, Lisa Crispin is extremely focused on the agile part of QA, and Jones in terms of visual testing and also automated testing. And this brings me to this other one. Go to webinars and go to conferences. Hopefully, if you can, if it's possible, go to one that are offline conferences that you can actually be there in person. It changes the whole experience. I had the opportunity to go with Anna Tess, who is our QA manager, back in 2019 to the Sauce Labs one that was in Austin. And it changed the whole way that we saw QA actually, and the things that we were implementing in our project at the time. And it gave us so much information. We had the opportunity to talk with a lot of people, to go with to really good talks. And if you have the time, and if you and the money, of course, to go offline, but if not, even virtual ones are very valuable. And webinars, they give you a lot of insight about tools and things that are trendy right now. So make sure that if you have the opportunity, go to some Sauce Labs, Browser Stack, Cypress, even Apply Tools. They tend to actually provide a lot of webinars. So if you have the time, uh, make sure that you attend, because you can learn a lot for just 2 hours of an expert in a topic sharing their knowledge. And that brings me to this other one. Everything is connected. Share knowledge with your colleagues. Participate in these things, in conferences, or in these events like the ones that have got. It will give you the opportunity just not to share your knowledge, but to reflect on what you've been doing for quite some time, to share that, to exchange uh, comments and experiences, and learn from others too. So if you have ever, and I know that not everyone feels comfortable doing this type of uh, talks, and be in this vulnerable position, but if you want to just try it, I encourage you highly to do so. It's a great opportunity to even investigate on things. What are things that are happening right now? What is related to the topic that you will be sharing? It's a great opportunity, and also a great opportunity for the people that attend to learn different things. And last but not least, always being in the lookout for opportunities to improve the project framework. And by framework, I just don't mean automation, but in general, the QA part. Be always, and this doesn't mean that you always have to be negative and thinking, oh, we have to improve so much. No, but always be in the lookout for opportunities of things that can be done that will help the team. Um, One of the biggest challenges that we had in my current team came from, it was last year around Christmas. I started in my project around Christmas last year, and we found a huge problem. Well, everyone was on vacation. Me and another person from Gap, we found it, and I was new at the project, but I already found an opportunity, and it needed to be handled with care, because when you're new in the project, you cannot just come up with, "Hey, we have to fix all of this." No, it had to be presented, and it was an idea that needed to be sold, and we were able to do that, um, by sharing with the team what will happen basically without us um, actually doing and executing the idea. So to give you a little bit more of context, what happened was that, like I said, we use mobile, and the dependencies were updated almost a year before. They haven't been updated for a while. But when the dependencies were updated, the code wasn't. So all the assertions, it didn't matter if they passed or failed, they were always going to pass. So the errors that were found were mostly if an element was no longer displayed or could not be clicked, not exactly the assertion. So when that happened, we were like, okay, what can we do? An idea was presented, and they were like, okay, let's do it little by little. It was like maybe for a month and a half. But during that part, we faced the need to update Appium, and we couldn't do it because the we use WebDriver.io. WebDriver.io have haven't been updated, and the code was not up to date, so we couldn't update anything. So we have to, I won't say rush it, but plan it and prioritize it as a top priority for the team. So we stopped creating test cases for a while, and we decided to focus on that and get it done and continue. So that was one of the biggest challenge, but it wasn't a huge opportunity, not just for the team, but also for me to learn more about mobile, to learn more about tools that I'm not familiar with, and to, present to the team something that was going to be useful for everyone. Um, and that actually gave me a lot of confidence to then share more ideas with the team as time went by, and also gain their trust. So always, 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 always try to look for opportunities that will help you and that will give you a lot of knowledge and the team, and that will help add value to the team. So with that, I thank everyone for attending today, and we can move to a Q&A section. And I hope so. And if you don't have questions, you can actually share your experience or share anything that you would like to talk about. Uh, I'm I'm sure everyone will be glad to learn from more people than and not just me.
Awesome. As Edley said, you can raise your virtual hand. You can post your comments on the comment section. I think we have Anthony.
Okay, I have two questions. Well, first of all, thank you for the talk. It was really good. Uh, First one is how to avoid micromanaging, because if you're an architect, there's a lot of people in the team, like to avoid being on top of everyone, like just checking every hour what's happening, how's going on. And the second one is how to handle the hype of new tools, for example, in automation frameworks. When people start saying, "Oh, we need to migrate to this one," and then 2 years from now, they'll say, "Oh, we need to migrate to this other one."
Yeah, thank you, thank you. and for those two questions, those are really important because yes, like I said, you have to lead initiatives and you have to lead people, but you shouldn't micromanage. How to avoid that? First of all, if possible, right? Not every project handles things the same, but let's say that you use Jira or something along those lines, right? Or Trello, I think is another tool. Make sure that everything is set up in tasks so that when you have your stand up, everyone gives their update. You have to make, and also, like I said, and a lot of micromanagement, I think, goes along with the fear of failure. If the initiative needs to fail at some point, it's okay. And people also need to fail sometimes. Maybe their task needs to fail because that will help them grow. Um, so honestly, as someone that at some point, I'm pretty sure I did micromanagement, a lot of it came from, wanted to not as trying to control people, but just wanted to make sure that everything was a success. And sometimes it doesn't need to be. You have to let people grow. Um, so yeah, I will say try making sure that everyone has a task, understands the task. That's why I said that it is important that you make sure that everyone has the knowledge to fully understand the initiative so that they can understand the task, and just have meetings like stand-ups and things like that to share a status. If someone needs help, make sure that you provide guidance. But it's one of those things that sometimes even the architects don't code. They're not coding, so you have to just be there to help the team. And the other one was the uh, making sure that not everything is changing every 2 years. um I think that sometimes it's needed. Of course, sometimes you made the decision with a tool and it was not the best tool and you need to change it. And we have to accept that. It is important to accept that sometimes things need to change, but not that is not the case every single time. So I think that at that point when someone says, "Oh, I heard that this tool is trendy now, let's change it," try to do like something that is called some people call it POC, or others call it like MVP, things like that. Most viable or something product. I don't remember
Yeah,
exactly
it's
the
not followable product.
yeah. But try to do something like that and present the differences between that and what you currently have. If there are none, be sure to share that. Be sure to share how much time will take, what things will be a risk, what things need to will be compromised, and try to solve the idea of why it's not a good idea to do that. Just and it's very common. Like everyone wants to go with the trends, but trends change a lot. So if it's not broken, make sure to communicate that, negotiate. Okay, you want to do that? Is there a particular reason? Because we might not know. It might be money. It's less expensive, but you can say, okay, it will take us this long. Are you okay with that? Because that that is time and that is money in terms of resources, and that is time that will not be focused on creating new test cases or adding new coverage. So what things need to be sacrificed in order to complete that? Because you cannot change that. People will go and ask you, about new tools and try to change tools. But what you can do is actually negotiate that part, and it's part of the role that you will have. I don't know if that answers. I hope it does.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Edley. Maria, you're next.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I have a question. You mentioned that we have to take learn to take the no's, but how do we give the no's? because I think that maybe as an architect, you have something had someone comes to you and tell like, oh, we should try this, and you know that it's a bad idea. And how do you tell them no without them feeling like dejected or feeling like, because I feel that sometimes people just say, "Oh yeah, I don't. This is bad, and I'm bad," and they get like all sad and everything. So how do you say no properly?
You cannot say no right away. That is the first thing. You have to, when someone gives you an idea or someone presents something, take the time to actually analyze that idea. You might think it's not the best, and it might not be the best, but you have to take the time to investigate if it's really not the best and provide then a summary of, hey, I I was thinking about what you mentioned. This was your idea. I was investigating a little bit more, and I think that because of this, we cannot actually execute it at this point. But maybe we can do this part, just a small part of the whole idea. Um, but every single idea comes from someone that actually made the effort of being in a vulnerable position to present it to you. So if you just go with no, that is a terrible idea, then
Yeah,
actually
of
the
course.
problem is on you. But just take the time, investigate it, and actually provide arguments of instead of just saying no, and help them understand why. And or if sometimes the idea is not bad, but the project that has certain restrictions, and that's why we cannot actually execute that one. So, present an alternative too. We cannot do that completely, but maybe we can do this and this. And that's, that will be mm, my, I would try to take that approach. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Okay. Does anyone has any other comment or question? Okay, perfect. Well, I think we have to thank Edley for all the knowledge that she shared with us today and also share her experience. And thank you, Gapsters, for attending this talk.